Welcome back to the channel, where we explore the intense world of military aviation and cutting-edge defensive technology. Today, we've got a powerful story that's sending shockwaves through Washington and the Pentagon. Congress has just made a bold move to keep two major programs alive. Programs that could reshape the future of U.S. military airpower. We're talking about the Navy's sixth-generation fighter jet and their Force's E-7 Wedgetail airborne early warning aircraft. Both of these platforms are game-changers, and the behind-scenes drama that led to this movement is full of tension, politics, and high-stakes decisions. The Senate Appropriations Committee has released a draft defense spending bill for 2026, and it's basically throwing a life preserver to these two advanced programs. The Pentagon had plans to freeze them, but Congress is stepping in with force. They're proposing $1.4 billion to keep the F/A-XX alive and next-generation carrier-launched stealth jet built to redefine how the Navy operates in contested skies. On top of that, they're allocating $647 million to keep the Air Force's E-7 Wedgetail airborne and active, a highly advanced aircraft assigned to manage and command the skies combat operations. This isn't just a budget adjustment. It's a to the Pentagon strategy priorities, and it's making waves throughout the defense world. Now, why is Congress stepping up to save these programs when the Pentagon is ready to hove them? That's where the story gets really interesting. There's a serious tug-of-war war between the Navy, the Air Force, and the Pentagon leadership. And it all is a deep question about what kind of military force the United States needs for the wars off tomorrow. Let's take a closer look at the Navy is going all in for the F/A-XX. The F/A-XX is not just another jet. It's the Navy's vision for the future of carrier-based air power. This is their next-generation fighter, meant to eventually replace aging F-18 Super and E-18G Growlers. With threats growing from countries like China and Russia, the Navy knows that relying on older fourth-generation aircraft, or even fifth-generation, fighters like the F-35 might not be enough. That's why they included a clear request for F/A-XX funding in their unfunded priorities list, a kind of extra budget wish list they sent to Congress when there's not now money in their regular request. The Senate's proposed $1.4 billion lines up perfectly with what the Navy asked for. Without this funding, the Navy warned that they'd be stuck patching up old jets or relying too heavily on platforms that weren't designed for the next decade of air combat. They need the stealth, the AI systems, the long-range weapons, and the drone teaming that FACS promises, and without it, the Navy fears its aircraft carriers could lose their relevance on the global battlefield. Here's where the conflict heats up. The Pentagon's own 2026 budget only financed the F/A-XX through its initial design phase. There's no money to start building actual jets. The reason they believe the defense industrial base isn't strong enough to build both the Navy's F/A-XX and the Air Force's sixth-generation fighter, the F-47. At the same time, think of it like trying to build Tusky scrapers with only one crew and one set of tools. The Pentagon says it's better to focus on one at a time, but Navy disagrees, and they're not backing down. Admiral Daryl Cottle, who is expected to become the Navy's top officer, made it very clear during Arison hearing. He said, "The power of AHL's carrier strike group comes from having the world's best jets flying off its decks. Without F/A-XX, that dominance gold disappear." He warned that America would fall behind China or Russia, both of whom are aggressively developing their own next fighters. The message is clear. Without a sixth-generation fighter on its carriers, the Navy risks being outclassed. The Navy is making the case that without the F/A-XX, it's like sending troops into battle without the Tedgar. No matter how skilled the pilot, how powerful the ships, they're vulnerable without the right tools in the sky. They argue the need for a modern stealth jet with unmatched sensors, advanced networking, and the ability to operate alongside and man. That's the only way to win in high-tech war. And F/A-XX is their answer. But the Pentagon's concern isn't just money, it's capacity. Boeing is leading Air Force's F-47 effort, and is soon of the top contenders for the Navy's FACS. Boeing says they can handle both, but Pentagon isn't convinced. Northrop Grumman is also in the mix for F/A-XX, while Lockheed Martin, who was eliminated from the running earlier this year, is now pushing an upgraded version of the F-35 as a stopgap until new systems are ready. This whole situation feels like a high-stakes poker game, and everyone's betting big. Now, it's switched over to Air Force's E-7 Wedgetail because it's facing its own battle. B-7 is meant to replace the aging E-3 Century AWACS aircraft, which are struggling to stay in there. The E-7 is already flying with countries like Australia and the UK, and it's proven to be reliable and capable. It works as an airborne command center, detecting threats, coordinating fighter movements, and helping to manage the chaos of modern combat. But the Pentagon wants to scrap it in 2026 and instead buy my 2D, a smaller platform used by the Navy. That decision raised a lot of eyebrows in Congress. Senator Lisomowski from Alaska called out the Pentagon for trying to keep the old E-3s running when they're barely operational. She and others are worried that relying on stopgaps will leave a dangerous gap in battlefield awareness. The Pentagon urges that moving these command and control functions to space-based systems is a smarter and more survivable long-term strategy. But space systems are in, ready yet, and there's no clear line. Even more pressure came when 19 retired Air Force generals, including Zick's former chiefs of staff, sent a letter to Congress urging them to save the E-7 program. They said canceling it now would be reckless. The Senate clearly agrees, setting aside $647 million to keep the E-7 on track. And the House is matching that move with separate $600 million for prototyping. It's a rare show of bipartisan support. In a tense political environment, the E-7 might not be flashy, but it's a backbone of air operations. Without it, the Air Force risks flying blind. Satellites can help, but they can't fully replace the flexibility and real-time command capabilities of a manned aircraft in Nesky. Congress is signaling that readiness now is more important than experimental tech later. They're not willing to leave a gap during the years. It might take 4 new systems to come in line. This entire debate is more than just dollars and equipment. It's a look at the crossroads where the U.S. military finds itself between the proven systems of today and the promise of tomorrow. Congress wants to stay ready. Now will the Pentagon is trying to prioritize long-term transformation. The result, ESA, tough balancing act with huge consequences for American power. So, where does this all go next? The Senate's draft budget is a major win for supporters of the FAXX and E-7, but it's not final. The House and Senate still need to come together and work out the details, and even after that, the bills need the president's signature. President Donald Trump has signaled that wants efficiency and cost control, which could complicate things. He's been openly critical of runaway defense costs in the past, especially with programs like the F-35. The House's version of the defense bill includes $972 million for FAXX, less than the Senate's $1.4 billion. So, there's going to be ahead. If there's any delay in passing these bills, the impact could be huge. Both programs are on tight timelines, and delays now could create risk readiness problems by the 2030 summer on current systems reach the end of their service life. China's defense budget, estimated at nearly $300 billion, is rapidly growing and focused on AI, stealth fighters, and space systems. Russia, despite economic trouble, is still pushing advanced systems like Su-57. Meanwhile, the U.S. defense budget request for 2026 is expected to be close to $900 billion. But that money has tossed across hypersonics, cybersecurity, shipbuilding, nuclear deterrence, and now possibly to new sixth-generation aircraft. The pressurized on there's also a deeper philosophical debate happening. Some in the Pentagon think the U.S. should be pivoting away from traditional platforms like crude fighters and large command planes. They want to invest in drones, worms, autonomous systems, and solutions that could give the U.S. a new edge in future. But others argue that moving too fast could be dangerous. Proven systems like the FAXX and E-7 offer real-world capabilities now at a time when tensions are rising around the world. So, is Congress right to step in and push back, or is the Pentagon correct to hit the brakes and focus on future tech? Let us know what you think. Are we entering a new era of warfare where space and AI rule the battlefield? Or do we still need powerful jets and airborne command centers to win today's fights? And if you're as passionate about military tech as we are, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss an update. We've got more deep dives coming your way here on Missile Lemons, your channel for the latest updates in advanced military technology. Thanks for watching, stay sharp, and we'll see you in the next mission.